paid for that. You get these for $8 a piece, but actually cheaper than that. But some of these, I've gotten better loads than this one. These are pretty rough. Now, I know the purpose of having a bunch of equipment is so that you don't have to do stuff by hand, but what I have learned over the years is when you have equipment, you end up doing a lot more stuff by hand because you're into projects that you wouldn't normally be doing. Now, railroad ties are heavy, and if you don't watch how you spin one and flip one, you'll mash your fingers, and you would think working in a wood yard and handling logs that I would pay closer attention and not let that happen, but I just smashed the end of my finger and I've got a dandy bruise under my fingernail. But that's not what today's video is about. We've been building our road and sharing the progress with you, and the road is fantastic and it feels safe to drive up and down. It's a 20% grade that drops straight off the side of the mountain, and lots of folks comment, I sure wish you would do something about the edge of that road because that's scary, that's dangerous, and those sort of things. So that's what we're doing today. And we have a brand new piece of equipment to help us do it. I can't wait to try it out. Don't you learn how to operate your new equipment on the side of a cliff? Why not? We have 32 railroad ties, and we are going to line the edge of the road around the corner up there, just to kind of give us a barrier between us and over the cliff. I'm gonna use the TYM 4820 to pack these railroad ties up the hill where I need them, but the tractor is too big to turn around on the hill in the driveway. I can do it, but it's real sketchy and you gotta get close to the edges to do it, and I don't like working that way on the big tractor. So we've got a new option on the farm that I'm excited to be trying out. I've worked it just a little bit, and we're gonna see if we can't use it to place all of these logs. Oh, come on, guys, it's got a lot of life left in it. And look, they didn't even charge me to get the grass growing. I'm joking about it and carrying on about the quality of the railroad ties, but I'm satisfied for what I paid. And they give you a free strap from Rural King with the bundle, so it's worth it. here's the deal. This is what makes these machines awesome, is you can work them in tight spaces and save your back. This thing will lift like 1,000 pounds, and it's handling, I'm moving 2 railroad ties at a time, which is about 300 pounds, 400 pounds worth of railroad ties, and it's just like nothing. It's stable, working on this 20% grade. I'm really impressed. I've never ran one before, so I was really excited to get the opportunity to run this Baumolite TRL 630D. And I wanted to pause for just a moment to mention Baumolite. Now, you know Baumolite's been working with our channel for a while. We've run their brush mulcher, we've run their post auger on the tractor, and now they have loaned me this mini skid steer so that I can use it on my property for a while. The Baumolite products are made in North America, and they're really, really top quality products. They sent me a set of forks, a bucket, and a grapple to use on this, and I've used the forks and the grapple so far and just been blown away by it. You know me, I get excited about new equipment, and so as I use this and get into it, I'll probably share some quirks and features and complaints that I might have about how it operates, but so far I am really impressed. Now there's a learning curve. I'm pretty slow in operating this thing, but I'm able to actually operate it better than I expected to for the first outing. I thought I would also mention this sound might be familiar to some of you because that's the Kubota diesel engine in this skid steer, and it sounds just like our BX. It's got lots of power for the size that it is. It's a lot of fun to operate. Now, I've started laying out these railroad ties, and I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them in place. And what I've about decided is I think I want to space them out a couple of feet apart so that I can set another row on top of them across that space and then hook them together and have a nice little barrier here. And I think that's the way I want to do it. So even though I've got all of these placed, I'm going to move them. So the controls took a little bit of practice and getting used to learn what you can and can't do with this machine. But after about an hour of operating it, it became pretty natural and it was pretty easy to do what I needed to do. Throughout the entire project, I always felt stable on the machine. I was a little bit concerned that working on this hillside, I would feel unstable and uneasy and it would be hard to learn how to operate it. But really, pretty quickly, I felt at home on it. Now, one thing I'll point out is that the third function, or the grapple operation on this particular machine, is operated by a third lever that has a detent. And so if you press that lever all the way forward and lock it in, you can actually kill the engine because you're pushing the hydraulic flow to a dead end. So that's the one function that took the most getting used to. It wasn't really natural to operate the grapple. From what I understand, they do offer a third function that has buttons that work on the loader controls. So if you were interested in a machine like this, I would recommend checking into that option. That being said, everything else on this machine operates pretty smoothly. The steering is pretty responsive, but it's not too quick, not too jerky. The loader controls work great, and it has a self-leveling loader. So the fact that I've been able to manipulate these railroad ties, flip them on the edge that I want and turn them around, stack them on top of one another, tells me I'm going to be able to accomplish just about anything I want to with this machine. And that has me excited. The end of this one's about to break off. Ugly one right there. Man, I don't even know about that one. That's nasty. I need to turn it around at least. That. Put it right there. This thing's sweet. And that's why I didn't stay down there. this was one fun day. So this machine rolled onto my property with 6 hours on it, and it now has almost 10. And it was a lot of fun learning how to use this thing. It did exceptionally well at what I was trying to do here. And I think probably I could have done this, placing these with the forks that also came with this. But the grapple is what I really want to get proficient at so that I can use this in my wood yard for the average size logs. You know that we loaded our sawmill with the Kubota BX for a long time, and it lifts about 700 pounds. This lifts more. So I should be able to load most of the logs that we mill with this, which means when I get my equipment shed done, get the roof over it, I can keep this up in the wood yard and use it for loading the logs and moving lumber and things like that. And it'll be so much handier than trying to use the big tractor all the time. So I really appreciate Baumolite for allowing us to use this mini track loader for a while. I'd never used one before, never been on one. And I was able to work in this relatively dangerous environment safely and do exactly what I wanted to do. Let me show you the project that we finished up here. So we picked up 2 bundles of used railroad ties, and that's 32 railroad ties. They sell them 16 to a bundle. Unfortunately, they stuck me with some garbage railroad ties, and I'm pretty disappointed in that product. I've bought railroad ties from them before and got pretty decent ones. These were not. I had one bust in half when I closed the grapple on it. I mean, they just, you can, if you look very closely at this, you're gonna see they're not in the greatest of shape. So I did all of this work, and I don't know how long they're gonna hold up because they're kind of garbage. On the flip side, I paid $9 a tie for them, and I'd probably be more upset, but they gave me 2 really nice straps to hold the bundles together, and that kind of offsets some of the railroad ties that I paid $9 for that weren't worth hauling home. You win some, you lose some, right? But I can't really complain. I was able to get my job done, and this guardrail here is really going to serve its purpose. Now, I've got all of these set in place, and I put screws in them to hold them together so they don't fall over the hill. But I think that I may try to drive some T-posts in behind these in strategic locations to further strengthen the wall here. Now, I understand that's not like a guardrail that's going to keep you, you know, a runaway car from going over the hill. And mostly it's a mental barrier. You know, people need to see something between them and the drop-off, and they feel secure. And that's a big part of what this is. So we've got it all the way around the curve, and I think it looks fantastic. Even being in rough shape, it kind of gives me the feeling of like visiting a park. You know, me and my daughter, we go visit state parks, or we did before she got married. And we would go visit state parks, and I just love going into state parks and seeing the things that they do, you know, the trails they build, the steps they build, all of that. And it kind of gives that vibe. I really like it. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching the process of us building our guardrail on our dangerous mountain road that we're eventually going to live at the top of. I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about all of the toys that I get to use and play with, and I appreciate Baumolite for sending this over and letting us try it out. Until next time, and get outside and enjoy God's creation, because it's beautiful out here. You hear those locusts? Do you have locusts where you're at? Y'all have a good day.